Hello everybody. I understand that there are lots of people who would like to join us today, and welcome to our webinar. So, my name is Tatiana Klimenko and I'm going to tell you today about interesting things, but I'm not going to be alone. I'll be with my little assistant. This is a Fox. Hello! Welcome to our webinar. So this is a Fox assistant from Yapi Corporate, and Yapi Corporate will be sharing the knowledge with you, how to build your career, how to avoid making mistakes when you are building your career. So this is about the things we do which ruin our career and how to avoid them. You know, make yourself a cup of tea or have a glass of champagne. Welcome to join us and enjoy. Right, what we're going to do. Today we will talk about, the topic of our webinar, the ways to ruin our career, but mainly to how to avoid them. And you know what? I believe in practice. Theory is dead without practice, but practice is blind without theory. So we will be based on the sociological, psychological and business research, our webinar information, plus real-life examples from all the adventures I've had during my life. Hopefully I'm going to carry on. So, what we're going to talk about, and we can have a look at the structure of our webinar. We will talk about such things as when you don't limit what's acceptable, when you are deaf to your own interests, when you have a fear of rejection, when you are trying to show off and attract interest, when you are taking responsibility for the problems which are not only yours but all those around you, when you are seeking approval from others and then you are going too far in this way, when there is a lack of self-respect, and that's why you are losing your integrity, you are losing yourself, and needless self-sacrifice. So we'll talk about those things in details. I don't see my video, the picture on the slide, and so it should be okay. Yeah, fine, great, right. And so let's get started. The first thing, one more thing, while you are listening to this webinar, and in case you have a question which you would like to ask, could you please remember what this question is? You can take a note about an idea, and afterwards, at the end, hopefully my friend Fox will tell us when to stop so that you have a chance to write a question, and then I'll be able to answer it. And then the person whose question is most interesting or most useful for the audience will get a present. Let's have a look what present it is. It's going to be a fantastic grammar notes collection from Yapi Corporate. So, Fox your English, let's get started. Well, okay, I absolutely love quotations because these are the things which clever people have said, and these things can teach us the wisdom of life. One of my favorite quotes is, you can see it on the slide, it's not the strongest species that survive, nor the most intelligent ones, but those who are most responsive to change. What it tells, we are alive, we are human beings. So when we are rigid, when we become too conservative, when we say, okay, this is like black and white and so on, it means then, we have very high risk of losing this game. If you need to survive, you don't have to be a dinosaur. Try to adapt, welcome change, understand that all the best is yet to come, go with the flow, sometimes relax, sometimes work too hard, but be alive and adapt. And well, we can carry on with the slide. I would like to focus on the things like, when we're building our career, again, it's important to understand what you understand by your career. For somebody, this is going higher and higher, getting the higher position, thus having more power, having more authority, and having a higher pay. For somebody else, it can be just trying here, there, everywhere, trying different jobs and trying to understand who I am and what I would like to do in this life. So again, what you understand by your career is up to you. But I wanted to share with you the idea. I believe that a person should be self-sufficient. So, expecting somebody to solve your problems, to organize your life, like when it's a beautiful girl, she wants to marry somebody who'll solve all her problems. I'm not sure if you want to take that risk. Again, if it's a gentleman who relies heavily on his parents, again, the parents are here for some time but not forever. So that's why discover your potential, try to understand why you have come to this world, and build your career. It will give you freedom, and what can be better? You know, when you are free, you can travel the world, you can do what you want, you can build the day you want, and inevitably become happy. We can move on. Right. Again, career can bring success, can bring nice income, can bring new opportunities. And it's up to you to understand how hard you want to work, how far you want to go. I personally believe in going an extra mile. What it means, you know, you take a project and you can just love yourself and think, all right, I'm a bit tired, you know, I've worked so hard and that's fine. It's 6 p.m. For me, I love to put all my heart to it, become absolutely crazy about what I do. You know, wake up at night and carry on doing research, or wake up at 5 a.m., you know, these golden rules of successful business people. So, if you want to be happy, if you want to be successful, my recommendation is don't be afraid to go an extra mile, to make an extra effort. You come to a new company and, you know, you are starting to build relationship. So be proactive. You know, just go and demonstrate positive attitude. Go and ask people, like, you know, and tell them, you know, I appreciate being here. I want to be with you. How can I do this? How can I do that? I'm talking about that. This is my experience. You know, I have started my life already twice from scratch. The first time was when I was 16. I came to Kiev on my own, with a rucksack, and in this rucksack I had a big bottle of oil, sunflower oil, and a frying pan. And my parents said, good luck, you know, call us sometimes. And so I became a student. And now I am here, and I know people who are working in the government and international companies, top management and so on. So we can say that it's interesting to see how you have, you know, like one of the other quotations I like, it doesn't matter where you come from, it matters where you are going. So, do you know where you are going? I do. I'm a cosmopolitan person, so if you ask me where I come from, this is Volyn region, but where I'm going, like all over the world, New Zealand is my dream holiday destination. We can carry on. Right, I mentioned the first time, and the second time I started my life from scratch was in the UK, when I won this contest for young teachers who could teach something in English. In my case, it was geography. So I went there, and again, it was absolutely different environment. And first I felt as a fish in a tank, and then that's why I had to demonstrate that I'm here to try and contribute to bring something useful and positive. And the comments which I heard were like, oh, in your country, do you have electricity? Things like that. So, you know, you need to be able to be proactive and just stand up and tell the world that you deserve to be here. Anyway, now we start talking about needless self-sacrifice. As I told you before, I'll be trying to explain the typical mistake. In this case, we have needless self-sacrifice. You know, it's okay to help people, especially when they ask you to do it. Because in my case, sometimes I overdo it. The person doesn't want it. The person is just tired and trying to relax. Well, I will come and say, how can I help you? And the person just wants me to leave them alone. Well, anyway, so the folks understands me here, right? Yeah, do you? Yeah, I do. Sometimes happens. Okay, anyway. Right, the story. I still was a student, and I had a friend, and the friend knew how to love herself. So we were still students, but we started working in a school teaching English. And all our group mates decided to go to St. Sophia Park, you know, Uman, because it was the beautiful season. I think it was a spring, everything was going to be in full blossom, all the beauty of nature. And so this friend came to me and said, you know what, why don't you take my group of English students and combine your group and mine, because I'm going to go to the St. Sophia Park. So she didn't ask me whether I want to go there or not, because it was like the same time. I was taken aback a little bit, and I couldn't refuse, because I thought, all right, somebody has to be here, somebody has to do the work. It was a typical example of needless self-sacrifice, and I still remember how desperately I wanted to go there and how badly I felt about that, but I couldn't tell her that somehow. One thing, in psychology there is this notion, a people pleaser. All our problems, all our peculiarities come from childhood. So maybe I needed to earn my parents' love too much. Maybe I wasn't the most beautiful child and wanted to attract the attention. So I think I've gone into this tendency of people pleaser. So when somebody asked me for help, I would ignore my interests. I wouldn't put them first. So I'll say, yeah, sure, I want to help you, and so on. Now it's getting better. Now I can tell, like, I'll be happy to help you, but maybe next week, not right now. But it's still like here. So my recommendation to you is as follows. Let's move on with the slides, please. Okay. Well, here what it is. When you are having communication, it's fantastic if the friendship is equal. You have a friend or you have a colleague and you exchange. It's fantastic if you have the luxury to be with the person not for some financial revenue or for some possibilities, but for the joy of company, to exchange ideas, to enjoy talking about the same things, to be able to help and support each other, just listen to each other. Here, again, one of the friends, she used to be a friend, I stopped it now, but for example, how can you imagine, or even in the business context, I met it in England, it was the year 2000, when you are speaking to a colleague and the colleague with the iron face just looks at you and tells you, I do not have time for you. It was harsh. Now it has come to our life and it's okay. Still it sounds like so-so. You could always be a bit more diplomatic and say, like, shall we discuss it a bit later, let's set time for it and so on. But treat people the way you want to be treated. If you want people to be so harsh with you, then act this way. But I wouldn't personally recommend it, because there is a law of boomerang, everything comes back. The way you treat people, you'll be treated inevitably at the end of this game. Right, we can move on. Thank you very much. So, here, empathy. This word is a popular one nowadays. Again, it's popular psychology. I'm sure a lot of you know what empathy is. This is the ability to understand the feeling of other people, feelings, emotions, what they experience, happiness and pain and so on. And, here I would like to remember, one of the people I met, it was a young gentleman, and when I saw the charisma, the intellect, the desire to develop, I understood that this person has a very big future. So I went to this person and I told him that he needs to concentrate on his English, and with the help of his English and with all his skills and abilities and desire, he'll become a top manager of his company. I'm sure he knows who I'm talking about. He'll be watching this webinar as well. But his empathy is fantastic. There will be a group of people. Here I'm talking about a speaking club format where there are like 15, 18 people interacting, and he'll see the weakest one, or the one who has the least confidence. So he would find this person and try to support and try to motivate and try to provide some positive feedback, which was fantastic. So I'm sure that empathy is a useful tool in our everyday world. This is like one of the recommendations. The other one, I absolutely love it. Assertiveness. This word doesn't exist in our language. Again, if you want to find it in Russian or Ukrainian, well, it's just assertiveness. What's that? Nobody knows. but it's a great thing. And we can have a look at the next slide. I'll explain. Yeah, so we meet people in our life. Okay, we talk about career, we talk about colleagues here, we talk about bosses, we talk about subordinates, supervisors. You know, some people can be aggressive. You know, they attack you because sometimes they don't feel happy or they don't feel secure, so they attack you with their comments. And then again, one more thing, it can be manipulation, sometimes conscious, quite often subconscious. You know, if you tell the person that now you are being aggressive and you are manipulating, the person will tell you, no, I didn't have any intention to do that. And it's even worse, because if you go deeper into the subject of manipulation, the most dangerous one is the one when the person does not realize what he's doing. So this aggressive or passive behavior, you know, in the business context, in the everyday context, personal life, I've smiled because I remembered an example, you know, when the girlfriend and the boyfriend are starting their relationship. It's fantastic. It's very important to understand who will be a boss first. You know, one person will always be kind of the bossy one, criticizing, demanding and setting the rules, and the other one will, oh yes, my lord, and so on. So it's like, it's important to understand who is who. No, a joke, of course. So, one is aggressive, always trying to bite and criticize and attack. The other one is passive. Who's passive? You think it's easier? No, it's kind of, oh my God, I'm so tired, everything's so bad, and you don't have energy, you have a headache. And so the world, the song "What a Wonderful World" is not the favorite one of this person. The beautiful example is, by the way, if you want to improve your English, I recommend you TED Talks. You just go to YouTube, yeah, you put TED Talks, for example, TED Talks winners, and I just listen to them to improve my mood. This example is taken from TED Talks. You know, a gentleman is talking about his mom. Probably she's a charming lady, but she has this tendency of seeing everything in the 50 Shadows of Black. And so he would say, Mom, you know, hello, it's the 1st of October today. And she would say, isn't it dreadful? So whatever happens is always bad with passive people. Now, what is assertiveness? Some people come to you and try to be aggressive, try to demand, like, do it right here and now, and you are always not good enough. The other ones will be moaning and blaming and saying that everything is always bad. Assertiveness is knowing you're right, and with all respect and diplomacy, saying that, like, you know, I understand your feelings, I understand that now you might be tired, or you might be having some issues, and well, you know what, let's discuss this problem tomorrow after 9, because now it's already 8 p.m. and my working day is over. So we can always, but you know what, not becoming emotionally involved. Sometimes we meet people who are so skilled manipulators that they every time try to push you to go over the limits. And in this case, if you have noticed it about this person, you can just tell them, excuse me, I'm not going to take part in this dialogue. You know, if you want, you can just express all your feelings. Sometimes it's better to work with these people in the written format, because when it's like a dialogue, oral conversation, afterwards they say, but I told you that and you promised me this. It's like difficult to prove. But when you have the correspondence, like this was the aim, this was the requirement, and afterwards you can refer to that, it's easier to prove that there has been misunderstanding in writing. When it comes to the oral situations, conversations, it's sometimes difficult. You know, you feel unhappy, that person feels unhappy, not because you are bad, but because you just haven't understood each other. So once again, I will finalize. Assertiveness is being able to stand up and with all respect say to the person that, look, let's respect the boundaries of our conversation, of our territory, of how we should behave with each other. You know, let's treat each other with respect, and if you would like to discuss some heated topics and so on, so maybe not with me. Thank you very much. We can move on. Yeah, and here you can once again see this aggressive, burning person. By the way, it's like if you look at the picture on your computer now, you'll remember a hooligan. We think that the word hooligan is a Russian word. No, it's an English word, and hooligan was a gentleman, maybe not a gentleman, a man who was a typical football fan. But every time he would come to the football match, he'll be kind of drinking too much, shouting too loud, demonstrating this aggressive behavior. And the name of this person was hooligan, like Titushka in our case. We all remember this surname as well. That's why, sometimes people are so bright, so charismatic as this hooligan was, that their name stays in history. And the other one, you see this passive person, kind of always, you remember this Winnie the Pooh cartoon? It's like a donkey, always saying that, life is going to be difficult and so on. I'm not sure, these people are called toxic. If you are with these toxic people, they will always exhale these feelings. So the best way to deal with them is just to avoid them. If this person is a colleague who's sitting next to you, it means your life is teaching you a lesson. I believe that all challenges which happen in our life are good for us. They teach us something. Sometimes you think it's just unbearable, the boss is too difficult, or a client is too difficult. But there is such a saying in English, a blessing in disguise. Sometimes it feels for us that it's like a dead end. We don't know what to do. It feels for us that it's unbearably difficult. And only afterwards, when we act appropriately, when we just work hard, when we try to be kind and good with people, we understand that that challenging situation was useful for us. In my case, it was an example like this, numerous examples actually, but how I discovered this idea, I was working too hard and I wasn't, I would say, wise in my personal relationship. That's why I ended up in a hospital with a very bad diagnosis, very close to the rainbow, we can say, and I celebrated my birthday there, and I understood that this situation happened because I need to understand something. And so whatever happens to you, if you are experiencing a black stripe in your life now, relax, go with the flow, everything will be okay. We can move on. Yeah. Okay, now we are transferring to the next question. When you don't limit what's acceptable. Here I would like to give an example, again from my life. It was a colleague here from Yapi Corporate, a very knowledgeable methodologist, person with a fantastic sense of humor and so on, very inspirational one. And then when I saw her, I was just exploding with emotions and desire to exchange ideas and so on. And then, so she looked at me, and I clearly remember how she said, Tanya, now it's getting to be a bit too much. So it's kind of, she said, well, it's right, okay now, but maybe you shouldn't be pushing it any further. And it was very well said. So you don't limit what's acceptable. It concerns you, and it concerns the people who are around you. If the person is starting to treat you in the way when you are feeling not good, maybe sometimes you have to say, well, like, this is enough. Maybe you are crossing the border, and we can progress. So it's important to be self-aware. Awareness is the word. It's like, okay, you are feeling fine, and then suddenly you hear a certain comment from somebody. Sometimes people like to comment your dress code, your style, maybe the quality of your work, and so on. And unfortunately, not always these people want to be kind to you, or these people not always support you, appreciate you. So it's okay sometimes to tell the person, like, maybe you're going too far. So if you are using this phrase, you are not upsetting them, or maybe you're not trying to be offensive, you're just being assertive because you are standing up and you respect yourself and you are maybe fighting for your rights, but in a diplomatic way. Yeah, let's move on. Socrates, our wise friend. It's great to learn from wise people from different times. You know, we always will have people to learn from. Like, you know, if you ask yourself a question where to get inspiration, there are so many sources. Like, one of them is interesting personalities. And, for example, ancient philosophers. So this idea, all things in moderation. So once again, should you work too much or rest too much? In these coronavirus times, yeah, like we stayed at home too much, we all dreamt of being more at home, like, oh my God, I don't want to go to this office so much, I don't want so much public transport and so on. So we had a chance to be at home. Is it good? No. That's why the balance is an answer. You know, if you look at if you remember this yin-yang sign, black and white, and inside black there is a little bit of white, inside white there is a little bit of black. So everything in moderation. Business relationship, it's important how hard to work. Okay, if we remember some interesting examples of Steve Jobs, for example, and there is a fantastic audiobook on YouTube, you can just find, it wasn't him, his friend wrote it for him, and there he tells about a marketing genius of Steve Jobs, saying what a fantastic businessman he was, but regarding his personality, because regarding his human qualities, we have big questions. That's why it's fantastic to have everything in moderation, you know. If you are becoming tremendously successful, but your closest people do not want to communicate with you, it's your choice, and it's important to try and understand how you will feel at the end of this game. Another good quotation, a rat race. You know, if you are in this kind of business world, business context, you need to be competitive. You need to carry on running. And I love it. It's like, if you think who wins in a rat race, it doesn't really matter whether you win or lose. If you are taking part in a rat race, you are a rat anyway. That's why you decide how far you want to go. Do you want to become a rat, or do you want to stay a human being? Do you want to take a managerial position and start being too bossy and violating people's rights? It's up to you. But again, only you decide what you want to be. Whether you want to keep your integrity, and this is like a very popular word in English, what it means when you think, you say, and you do the same thing. You know, some people in the business context, in the political world, personal relationship, they tell you, I appreciate honesty. But when it comes to deeper analysis, there are these kind of double standards, not all truth, and so on. That's why it's nice to be honest, but not to hurt other people. Together with that, sometimes when people are saying to you, I'm being honest to you, please believe me, this is true, and so on, you have to be a bit careful, because an honest person will not be focusing on this word too much. An honest person will just think that what he's saying is honest, and he doesn't need to put so much focus on it. That's why everything in moderation, balance, is an answer. Let's move on. Okay, caught in between here. Here I wanted to give an example. You are in a business context, and when you have to report to different people. So, you know, you have your line manager, and then there is this head of marketing, there is this head of legal department, finance, and so on. And I see the time, yeah. So, you know, and then each of them wants something from you. So here, you need to prioritize. So prioritizing is an important skill, and here the priority is to understand who your line manager is, who you report to directly, and saying to everybody else that yes, I will deal with your issues, but everything is in the correct order. And just, again, being assertive about it, saying that, like, look, at the moment my priority is such and such project, so I'll deal with it and I'll be happy to help you with your task, but maybe in a week time. If you're not happy with it, I beg your pardon, but according to my zone of responsibilities, this is what I need to focus on. And we can move on to the next slide. Yeah, right. One more example, and this is one of my favorites. When I told you that, I was reporting to many managers and each of them was very demanding and bossy, it was a fantastic example of passive-aggressive behavior. Time was pressing, financial stuff was pressing. In the end, it was a fantastic position, head of training department. The work was interesting, maybe even too challenging. At the end, I was experiencing the emotional burn down, and it ended up with emotional burnout. So it's like, when you are working non-stop, weekends as well, the pressure is tremendous, and in the end you cannot sleep or eat. So I hope you have not had that experience and you will not come to this stage. But this formula which you see now on this slide helped me. I have a friend, she's a fantastic lady. We worked in the UK together, but in different regions. Then she became my colleague here in Ukraine. And when I came to her with my child, but I was like trembling because of the pressure, she said to me, sit down. She made me a cocktail and she said, I'll tell you something. And she gave me this recipe of life. So she said, if you think that you are focusing on your career, like you are putting 99% of all your efforts into your career and you think it's good, all right, it will result in the problems in the other areas. And you can see here, this is like a formula. If you are neglecting your family, but business is going well, nice, but then the family will suffer, and I don't know how long the family will want to tolerate it. Again, if you are a very scientific person, academic, like your intellect is fantastic, but you are ignoring your fitness, your appearance, your looks, you are highly intellectual, but maybe it's time to go to the gym or just do the workout. It's all about balance. Here, you can play with it. You can look at this slide, and I'm sure Yapi Corporate will be able to share this webinar with you as a recorded version, and you can just look at it. So you can sit down with your friend or with your family, and you can use it in such a way. You can have a scale from 0 to 10, and you can analyze every segment. Like, for example, okay, rest and sleep. How satisfied I am with my rest and sleep now. So like 0 is absolutely no, 10 is absolutely satisfied. And you'll see, you might say that you are not religious, absolutely fine, it's your right, democracy, but everybody needs what? Probably such things, some things are fundamental. If you have a friend, if you have friends, it's always brighter and easier and more pleasant. But if you tell your friends, I'm always busy, I'm at work, later, it's going to be problematic at the end. So my idea is, look at it and remember, all these segments are important in your life. Let's move on. Yeah, another trap is the word I wanted. Yeah, a mouth trap by Agatha Christie. So, what it is, again, according to sociology, we are human beings. We live in a group. We all need to be successful, competitive to survive. And, seeking approval from others This is like becoming confident, becoming successful, having more chances, enjoying life more. But sometimes we are becoming too dependent on it. I don't know if you have experienced these pleasant things such as appraisal meetings, like annual things. Again, absolutely unforgettable experience I've had is like when all your peers, they're given these questionnaires, and there are so many questions when your emotions have been analyzed, your appearance, your manners, everything. So I felt that I'm a frog. This frog is cut into pieces and all the inside parts are analyzed. And if you are working hard to please everybody, like to be good with everybody, and afterwards you hear that, oh wow, this is not good and that is not bad, and you think, well, maybe it's just better to be yourself and understand that, okay, you meet such a person, this is your person. It has come to me like with years. Sometimes you understand that, okay, this colleague is a decision maker. A lot of things depend on this person in your office, and you are trying to build relationship, but this is not your type of person. So you are going to ruin yourself trying to be friends. Okay, maintain respectful relationship, yes. But it's so important to understand in life like which people are yours. With them, it's like the taste in music, style of jokes, things you like discussing, and you feel happy because, okay, these things coincide and those. So maybe now it's more important to find your people, and they're everywhere, in all companies, everywhere. You'll find at least one person, and then you'll enjoy his company or her company. So, seeking approval from others. If you are starting to do that, like I want to be good with everybody, well, a recipe of failure. Let's move on. Yeah, so that's what I meant. Appraisal meetings and having all this feedback. Just take it easy. Modern psychologists say that when you meet hate in social media, in a shop, at work, maybe in the family, it's fine. We shouldn't say that, oh my God, what happened? It's just okay. Some people might dislike you because you are not their type. And it's normal, like you don't like me, fine, I wish you good luck, just stay away from me. Take it easy, move on. Have you heard about such a Japanese concept, ikigai? This is about, it's a philosophy. So a person who has the reason to wake up in the morning has a lot of energy because this person wakes up with ideas to do, looking forward to some interesting things and so on. And one of the ingredients of this recipe, of ikigai recipe, again, you can check ikigai in the internet, it is there. It is to go with the flow, to live in the flow. Sometimes you try too hard, you put so much energy into it and nothing happens. And then there is this Pareto principle, okay, 20-80. You put 80% of your energy into something, but as a result, 20% of your efforts which you put into something else result and give you 80% of revenue. If you want a business example from me, there you go. Pareto principle. You come into the shop, okay, supermarket. It has a very wide assortment of things. And you'll be surprised to know that 20% of the things you see on the shelf, they give 80% of revenue to this shop. The same story about our life. We have to do housework. We have to invest our time and energy into communication with people. Sometimes we do things which are pleasant for us. Sometimes we do things which we must do. At different times this scenario is different. So you need to understand it. Yeah, sometimes you need to work hard. Maybe you are preparing for exams. Maybe you are working hard with a project. but you are building up your life, you are investing this 80% of efforts, which will afterwards give you the chance to relax, and those 20% of your efforts will give you 80% of revenue. So whatever happens in your life, know that everything which happens for the best. Let's have a look at the slide. Happiness is when you feel good about yourself without the need for anyone's approval. What I wanted to say here, again, family, office, some people will just come and tell you, so why this is here, and why you have done this with such quality, and why this and that. It is very important to start accepting yourself and loving yourself, and to understand, like, look, okay, I know who I am, these are my strong sides, and it's fantastic if you can make a list of 10 strong things about yourself, and you say, okay, well, I am responsible, I'm very hardworking and so on, but just to sit down, concentrate and write them. And accept yourself. Okay, these are your weak things, because it's always like plus and minus. And Einstein, our friend, he was a genius, an intellectual genius, but he couldn't look after himself in the normal life. Like all this kind of washing, cooking and so on. No, he was like a child. So what I'm saying, when people start to criticize you, just tell them, but I'm so good in all other ways. Just accept me the way I am and enjoy me. This way we will just contribute to each other's lives better. When people tell you that you need to change and change yourself and so on, everybody starts to suffer, because their expectations from you need, they have certain criteria what you need to be. And it's impossible, because you are you and their criteria is different. So again, my favorite Albert Einstein, he said that all people come to this world with a certain mission. Okay, this is a fantastic footballer. You will not discuss Nietzsche with him, yeah? The other one, Lady Diana Spencer, yeah, Princess Diana. I analyzed her life and I wanted to understand why this tragedy happened. She was a kind lady, she was an aristocrat and so on, but maybe she wasn't born for the royal family. There you need to keep the rules. You do not have the right to show the audience what you feel. It's just out of the question. Doesn't matter how you feel, you have to be smiling and be polite and so on. And the queen, she has never had a luxury of showing her real emotions. What I'm saying, like what I'm aiming at, Albert Einstein, he said, everybody has come to this world with his own mission, and if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, both will suffer, the fish and you, because the fish was born to swim, and you expect the fish. So it's again what I said, know why you have come to this world. Maybe you have come to this world to plant a tree and so on. Just understand your mission, understand what makes you feel good, and do it. And you don't necessarily need to be a legal expert, or you don't necessarily need to be an IT. Maybe you are a fantastic nurse, maybe you are a gardener. Understand who you are and why you are in this world. And in reality, we don't need so much, all this kind of financial aims and so on. Now I've seen the advertisements on TV, 1+1, this young gentleman who travels all over the world. What's his name? So now he's making his new programs. He traveled all over the world, and now the new series is he's traveling inside Ukraine. So he's showing Askania Nova and so on. There is so much about our country that we don't know. It's like, okay, it's cool to go to Barcelona. Yeah, but do you know Ukraine? Have you been to like Poltava, Kharkiv, all this nice... Kharkiv, by the way, has the biggest square in Europe. Have you been there? No. But we all want to go to Barcelona. Fantastic. It's nice to enjoy what we have and use our budget appropriately. Let's move on. Yeah, I'm a patriot, okay? When I was working in the UK, and the budget was quite limited, so I couldn't visit Ukraine. So I was staying there for quite a long time. So when I flew here, I was kissing the ground, the flower bed, which is Klumba in Borispil, because I said, I love my country, I want my people who are kind, who tell you the truth, who are this and that, but they are honest with you, you understand the mentality. Whereas British people, I love working with them, but for me they're too cold, too reserved, and so in our people I see more heart, more... okay, just to cut this long story short, I feel that they are my people. So, like, love Ukraine and be patriotic. It's like, yoo-hoo. Yeah, let's move on. Here, look at this slide. British humor. Sometimes some people might have the tendency of becoming too self-criticizing. You can read it here. Dear diary, sorry to bother you again. And then you start complaining about your life because everything is going wrong and so on. So it's your choice, okay? You are responsible for your own happiness. You want a fantastic birthday? Okay, organize it for yourself. Nobody owes you anything. Invite your friends somewhere, make it unusual. I remember the recent birthday I had, it was raining, but we started from the very morning. We came to the city center and we had a walk with our umbrellas under the rain, and it's unforgettable. So it's not about the budget, it's about your efforts and your attitude to life. Let's move on. I'll keep you here for 10 more minutes, but maybe kind of 5 more minutes, and then maybe we'll have questions if possible. Well, we'll see. It depends on YouTube. Yeah, so next one. Care about what other people think and you will always be their prisoner. Yeah. A girl, again, when I returned from the UK and came to Krishchatyk, I was shocked. I saw all these girls, high heels, lips, hairstyles and so on, and I understood that a lot of them are selling their looks to impress gentlemen, expecting that gentlemen with a big income will guarantee her happy life. Why I was stressed and maybe surprised, because I saw completely different mentality in the UK. There is equality between genders. So a woman can be herself. She does not necessarily need to be always kind of looking ideal. She just knows what she wants from this life. She does not think that she needs to cook or clean. And I'm happy that this tendency is coming to our life. Coming very slowly, I would tell you, because if you look at your mom's situation or example, a mom needs to cook, clean and so on, and the dad is an expert of sofa. So you always know where to find him. And I've seen in England, if we talk about middle class, the tendency is different. Like, if you want a meal, if you want a dinner, go and cook it, go and buy it. So he cannot expect his girl or his wife to cook everything for him and serve. It's different. Again, the USA, yeah, it's okay to have a date and everybody pays for themselves. By the way, do you remember the construction to go Dutch? If a gentleman, maybe a foreigner here, invites you to go Dutch, you should be careful, because going Dutch means paying. Everybody pays for himself, yeah. So you are invited to go Dutch, and you understand that you'll have to cover your own bill. Be careful with that. You can always double check. Shall we go Dutch, or is it your invitation? Always nice to be precautious. Let's move on. A fear of rejection is the next thing. Yeah, again, it comes from childhood. Nobody wants to hear no as an answer. If you are asking for something, you're asking for your parents, for a toy. You remember how unpleasant it is to hear no. Same story at work. If you want a promotion or a bigger salary, I remember cases, I heard them from my colleagues, they're taking a project, and then they come to the boss and they start discussing this project and the pay conditions. And they say, okay, well, my financial expectation is this and that. And then the boss is a bit surprised because the sum is incredibly high. And the boss is like, excuse me, could you clarify the reasons? Because I have bought a car. right? What does it have to do with my project? It's like your personal things. But some people think that, okay, this enables them to demand more. Anyway, let's go back to our fear of rejection. What is fear? In fear, you can have two reactions. Forget everything and run, or hide your head as an ostrich in the sand and imagine that there is no problem, I'll just think about it later, tomorrow, it will sort out itself, or face everything and rise. Again, everything in moderation. With some problems, you can go with the flow, you can relax. Okay, like a colleague, is behaving strangely, like criticizing and so on. So sometimes you can relax, maybe the person is having their personal issues and it's not about you. You think you're taking it personally, But if it is something like with some organizations where you really need to be proactive, maybe you need to go and collect certain documents and apply for something, you need to do it. So again, with fear, understand how you should react. Like live in the flow and relax, or be proactive and go an extra mile. There is such an interesting thing as confidence. Confidence is boosts your immune system, gives you so much power, and gives you the desire to fight and go further and enjoy life more. And one thing which ruins confidence is the fear. So people who start losing confidence is because they're afraid of something. They can be afraid of criticism, they can be afraid of rejection, they can be afraid of losing their job. Okay, the person wants a promotion and thinks deserves a promotion, but the fear is you come to your boss and you will hear no. So the person never does it. As a result, the boss thinks that this person doesn't want to develop, and the person feels dissatisfied because it's kind of, oh my God, I've been doing this work for so long, I do not feel motivated anymore because it's just boring, because the fear is there. So one of the best advice I've heard in my life is just don't be afraid. Just be brave. Again, the quotation, fortune favors the bold. The explanation is fortune, it's like the wheel of fortune. You'll have success, you'll have happiness if you are brave enough to fight for your interests. Go and ask, go and say, you do not like something, go and give the feedback. You can say, well, excuse me, dear colleagues, but this is enough. Or if you are afraid of something, you can ask a colleague to sit down and discuss the situation. But just being afraid and trembling does not really solve anything. We can move on. One more recipe. So things which are really working well. Taken from my real life, SWOT analysis. People who work in the business world already know it. So what is a SWOT analysis? There is this square and there are 4 segments. Okay, imagine that you are having a challenging situation in your life, a problem, an unclear situation. You do not know how to act. You do not know how to react. Maybe this is an issue which you might want to discuss with your psychologist. A SWOT analysis will give you a chance to sit down on your own and you write down strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. Regarding strengths, there you write like strong things about this situation, like why you can be a winner. Weaknesses, why you can be a loser, like realistic things. Opportunities, what might come out of this situation. But it's fantastic if you can be detailed, if you can break the situation into ingredients. It's great if you have a well-respected friend who you can trust, a wise person who can devote a few hours of his life to you analyzing your problem, and threats, really dangerous things which might result at the end of this case. So once again, SWOT analysis, a fantastic business idea. If you haven't used it yet, read about it in the internet. Let's move on. Right, the next one. So my clarification question, it's 5 to 8 and we have 5 minutes left. Can we see the questions or no? All right, okay. So the idea is, according to YouTube policy, they gave us a chance to see your questions, your comments only afterwards, once this webinar is over and the recording is done. So probably, maybe you can, if you have some burning issues, you'll be able to go to our Yapi Corporate website and direct send your requests or questions to Yapi Corporate in case you have them. But again, kind of internet gives you the whole world of ideas and research. So contact us, clarify, and then you'll hear the answers to your questions. Please write them to us and we will contact you if you provide us with your email address with your contact details. So the final one for today, we can go so far, being deaf to your interests. Here, you have to understand that naturally, according to nature, everybody needs to survive. Everybody needs to be competitive. Everybody wants to be strong. That's why people sometimes try to use you. And you need to understand what you want. So it's always about cooperation. It's always about the way to understand how to be comfortable in this life, but keep yourself as a personality. Just keep your charisma, keep yourself as a whole. Let's move on. Yeah, our Dalai Lama. Do not let the behavior of others destroy your inner peace. We mentioned these toxic people earlier. People who think it's okay to give you comments like, "Oh my God, you have gained some weight," or like, "What's wrong with your skin?" or "I think your presentation skills are just awful," and so on. The recipe which I can share with you, and I think it's working well, if I hear such comments from these people, I'm no longer upset. Because I understand that the person is sharing with the world what this person has inside. If the person is calm, harmonious and happy, the person will not be criticizing. Because our life is about understanding that we are all different. So if you accept this nature of different personalities, okay, this person is an introvert, fantastically deep, fantastically intellectual, maybe reserved by nature. And he does not necessarily need to be a great public speaker, but if you have the luxury of sitting down with this person and discussing a subject, you will enjoy it immensely. And that is an extrovert, kind of shining, jumping and so on, might not be the best at keeping secrets, might not be the best at going deep in some philosophical issues, and this is okay. So once again, going back, and we will finalize, going back to this issue, you meet a person who is giving you some criticism, please take it easy and understand that the person is sharing with the world what he has inside. So today I wanted to share with you ideas that Ukraine will be fine, so we will rise again. We will learn from the from the world, like all these prosperous countries, UK, USA, and so on. Yapi Corporate, the folks will give you the tool of doing it. So English is your way to the outside world. Study English, develop